Tonight, we begin with Persia.
I am a simple shepherd woman. I have spent my life beneath open skies, with no city lights to hide the stars. In my world, knowledge lives in voice, passed from mother to daughter, elder to child, through memory, song, and story. We learn the sky the way you learn the face of a loved one, by looking up again and again until you know what is ordinary and what is not. And in our oldest stories, there is a truth we return to. The Watchers have always been with us, not always as shapes in the sky, sometimes as guidance, sometimes as judgment, sometimes as a presence that sees. Our earliest memories begin with something we could hold in our hands and yet never truly own. In the oldest Persian tradition, fire was not just a tool. It was a sacred presence, kept clean, kept living, never treated as ordinary. We tended it because it represented Asha, truth, order, and right alignment. The flame did not lie, it revealed, it purified, it demanded care. And here is why it belongs in the story of the Watchers. A sacred fire is a kind of witness. It stands awake while people sleep. It burns without choosing sides. It does not chase you, yet it reveals what you bring near it. When my people spoke of living in truth, they imagined it this way, as if something luminous could see into you without needing to touch you. That is the first Watcher idea we carried. The world contains presences that observe, and the observation changes you. Later, that same idea took a symbol. The Faravahar, often shown as a winged figure, became a reminder of the soul's journey and the weight of choice. It speaks of the human being not as a creature drifting through fate, but as someone accountable. In Persian thought, you are watched, not in paranoia, but in consequence. Your thoughts matter, your words matter, your actions matter. Not because a tyrant is listening, but because reality itself keeps record. This is Watcher theology in human language, that there are higher intelligences or higher laws that do not force goodness, but see you clearly enough that you must face what you have become. The Faravahar is not an alien. It is something subtler, a cultural admission that the human life is lived in the presence of an observing order. When the Persian Empire rose, the Watcher idea did not vanish into philosophy. It moved into stone. At Persepolis, you see winged presences above kings and courts, images of oversight and legitimacy. Whether one calls it divine sanction, or cosmic authority. The message is clear. Power is not meant to be blind. It is meant to be seen. To modern eyes, these winged figures can look like pure religion or pure art. But to a watcher's lens, they reveal something familiar across cultures. Civilizations often encode the sense that leadership is observed by something higher, something that stands above the throne, not necessarily intervening, not necessarily speaking, but watching. It is one of the oldest patterns in human history, the belief that order is overseen. And when life ends, the watching does not end.
Before the first cities, there were those who watched.
In Persian belief, every soul must cross the Chinvat bridge, the passage between the human world and the unseen. It was not imagined as wood or stone, but as a moral threshold. At the bridge, the soul encounters intelligences whose role is not revenge, but revelation. They show a life as it truly was, without disguise, without story, without excuses. For those who lived in alignment with truth, the bridge widens and the crossing is clear. For those who lived by deception, it narrows, until the soul can no longer hide from itself. Here is the watcher connection plainly. This is a worldview where the universe contains observers and accountability mechanisms beyond human courts. It is not fear of gods in the childish sense. It is a mature structure. You are seen. Your life has shape. And there is a passage where what was witnessed becomes what is known. That is watcher adjacent to its core. Some of my people became watchers in their own right. The Magi were priest astronomers, readers of sky cycles, horizon risings, seasonal markers. They studied what most people only admired. To them, the heavens were not decoration, they were signal. And this is where the watcher's theme becomes almost unavoidable. Across the world, whenever humans begin to track the sky carefully, they also begin to notice anomalies, lights that do not behave, movements that feel intentional, patterns that do not match the ordinary. The Magi represent a culture that believed the sky carried messages meant to be interpreted, not worshipped. Not everyone who watches the sky sees the watchers, but the watchers, if they exist, would most naturally be encountered by the ones who watch. And then there is the Simurg, a great sky being in our myth, associated with wisdom, healing, and guidance. The Simurg is not simply a monster or a pet of the gods. It appears at turning points. It changes trajectories. It carries knowledge. To modern ears, it may sound like fantasy, but the Watcher's pattern often lives inside myth, because myth is how pre-literate cultures preserved encounters that were too strange for plain description. So we do not claim the Simurg as proof. We treat it as a cultural container, a symbol of a presence from above that is intelligent, purposeful, and transformative. A figure that watches, guides, and appears when the human story bends. Across cultures, that pattern repeats. In the garden of the ages, where the nightingales once sang, echoes of ancient verses linger, like the scent of blooming roses. We have walked with the poets of old, where wisdom and love entwine, in the quiet whispers of the stars and the turning of the celestial wheel. Here, the tales of Persia have found their voice, carried on the wings of time. And as we bid farewell, we offer a bow to the culture that has spoken, in verses that bridge the earthly and the divine.
This was Persia, one culture's memory, told in its own voice. And it is only the beginning. Because if the Watchers are real, whatever they are, they did not arrive in one decade, in one nation, in one language. They left fingerprints across history. In the next Chronicle, we will listen again and see what another people remembered when they looked up. Thank you for watching this episode of The Watchers. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe to the channel. Explore our other series, from Odyssey Adventures to Chronicle Stories, Academy Deep Dives, and Night Episodes. We've got something for everyone. Stay tuned for more.